I've walked the same trail every morning for 2 years. I know every route, every bend, every sound. So when something appeared on the trail, I knew it had been put there, and it wasn't there the day before. 6 in the morning, before work, narrow path through the woods. Nothing out there but trees and the sound of my own footsteps. There's an old oak about 12 minutes in. Someone carved a blaze mark into it a long time ago. I use it as my clock. Hit that tree, I know exactly how far I've gone. I've done this walk, maybe 500 times. I stop thinking, I just move. It's the same. Always the same. That day it wasn't. I saw them from about 30 feet away. Wooden stairs, right in the middle of the path. 5 steps, no railing, not to the side, not leaning against a tree. Dead center. They didn't lead anywhere. Just steps going up, and then nothing. Open air. My first thought was, someone left them there. Hikers, kids, somebody moving furniture. I stepped around them and kept going. Didn't even slow down. But then, I noticed the wood. Clean. No moss, no rot. The ground around them was soaked. It had rained all night. The bark on every tree was dark and wet. But those stairs looked like they'd been inside an hour ago. I kept walking, trying to shake it off. And then I realized something that stopped me cold. I hadn't stepped over a single branch. On this trail, I trip on the same route almost every time. There are branches down after any rain, debris everywhere. The ground was clear, like something had moved it, or like the path was making room for me. I checked my watch. 14 minutes. I should have hit the oak 2 minutes ago. I turned around. The stairs were still there, behind me, visible through the trees. I had walked 2 minutes past where they should have been. I should not have been able to see them. I walked back to them. I don't know why. Something in me needed to look again. Needed to confirm they were real. I got close enough to see the individual boards, the grain of the wood, the way the steps were cut, and I saw the mud. Tracked into the wood, dried into the grain, coming down from the top step, not going up, down. Whatever left those tracks came from the top, which is nothing. 4 feet of empty air and then sky. I didn't go up. I want to be clear about that. I didn't investigate. I walked around them and I left. Fast. I drove home and sat in my parking lot for 20 minutes before I could go inside. The next morning I did the trail again. I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe I needed it to be gone. The path was normal. Roots and branches exactly where they should be. I hit the oak at 12 minutes. I exhaled. I kept walking, and past the bend, past my turnaround point, I saw them. Same stairs, same wood, but further down the trail now. Further than I'd ever walked. Yesterday they were before the oak. Today they were past it. They moved while I was gone. I don't think it was something I found. I think it was something that found. Where I walk. I've driven that road every night for 2 years. Same stretch, same trees, same empty space on both sides. There are no houses out there. I need you to understand that. Because something started showing up. In the exact same spot, every night, and the third time I saw it, I stopped the car. I work late shifts, 40-minute drive home, State Road 9. The last half, cut straight through old forest. No streetlights, no houses. Around 2 in the morning, it's completely black out there. There's one curve. Your headlights swing into the trees for a second. Then the road straightens. After that, it's just darkness all the way home. I've taken that curve hundreds of times. I knew exactly what was there. Nothing. At least, that's what I thought. The first night I saw it, I almost convinced myself it wasn't real. Headlights sweep left. And there it is, set back in the trees maybe 30 feet. A house? 1 story. Dark shape. And a single window, lit up from inside. Pale light. Not like a lamp. Steadier than that. Colder. I didn't stop. Kept driving. Told myself I was tired. Told myself I just never noticed it before. But I went back the next afternoon. In full daylight. I pulled over at that curve. Got out. Walked to the tree line. There was nothing there. No clearing. No foundation. No tire marks pulling off the road. The underbrush was completely intact. Like nothing had ever stood there. Like nothing could. I stood there for a while. Just looking. Thinking maybe I had the wrong spot. Maybe 20 feet further. Maybe 50. But there was nowhere. A house could even physically fit. So I drove it again that night. Headlights sweep left. There it is. Same window, same light. And this time, I watched it the entire time. I drove past. The angle never changed. The brightness never changed. When you pass something in a car, anything, the way it looks shifts. It has to. That's just how the world works. The light didn't move, didn't flicker, didn't change at all. It just sat there, perfectly still, like it wasn't on the other side of glass, like it was painted onto the dark. 3 weeks in, I stopped the car. I don't know why. Some part of me just decided. I cut the engine. Sat there for maybe 30 seconds, just watching that window. Then I got out. The second my feet hit the grass, the sound changed. Engine tick, road noise, gone. Like someone pulled the plug on everything. That kind of silence that presses against your ears. I started walking toward the trees, grass wet, ground soft. Cold coming up through my shoes. And then I noticed something. The window wasn't getting bigger as I walked toward it. Things get bigger when you walk toward them. That's not a strange thing to say. That's just how distance works. This wasn't doing that. I kept walking anyway. At some point, the trees were right in front of me. I pushed through. Branches, wet leaves. And then, I was in a small clearing I hadn't seen from the road. And the house was right there. I went to the window, looked in. No furniture, no walls. The way a room normally has walls. Just space. More space than the outside of the building should have allowed. And light filling it from nowhere. Not from a bulb, not from the ceiling. Just light existing in the air. And in the middle of that room, something standing. About the height of a person, but the proportions were wrong. Shoulders too high. Arms too long, or the torso too short. I couldn't work out which. It wasn't moving. It wasn't facing me. It was just standing there. Still. The way you stand when you've been waiting for a very long time. I ran. Back through the trees, back to the road. I don't remember crossing the grass. I remember the door handle, the seat, the sound of the door closing. I looked at the window. The light went out. Not slow, not like a switch flickering. Just out, like a breath held and then released. The light had been on the whole time. I was walking toward it. The whole time I was standing at that window. The whole time I was running back through those trees. It went out the exact moment I was back inside the car. Not before, not after. The moment I was enclosed again. I drove, didn't look back, just watched the road and kept moving. 2 miles out, I checked the rear view. Dark road, dark trees. The house was gone. But further up the road, further than I'd come from, there was a light, small, pale, still, in the direction I was driving. It wasn't on the side of the road. It was waiting for me to pass it. The mall was closed. Everyone had left, except one hallway. That wasn't supposed to be open. I went inside. I shouldn't have. I worked night shifts at a mall for about 2 years, security and basic closing duties. Nothing dramatic. Lock the stores, check the gates, walk the corridors. You get used to the quiet fast. Malls at night have this specific kind of silence. It's not peaceful, it's just absent, like the building is holding its breath. I didn't mind it. I actually kind of liked it. There was one hallway I'd never been in. West Wing. 3rd floor. Always had a temporary barrier across it. Those orange and white construction dividers. Plastic. Nothing official. Just don't go in there. Nobody ever told me why. The paperwork said renovation, phase 3. I'd been working there 8 months. Phase 3 never ended. I stopped thinking about it. One night the barrier was gone. Not moved to the side, not knocked over. Gone. The hallway beyond it was lit. Dim, but lit. Same tile floor, same ceiling. It just continued. I figured renovations were finally done. No big deal. I walked in. The first thing I noticed was the stores. They were open. I mean, the signage was up. The displays were visible through the glass. But the logos looked wrong. Not like retro wrong. Not like, oh, that's a throwback. Wrong like, I'd never seen those brands before. Not once in my life. Names that didn't sound like anything real. I pulled out my phone to look one of them up. Full signal. I typed the name in. Nothing loaded. I sent a text to my coworker. The little circle spun and spun. It didn't say sending. It didn't say failed. It just sat there. I checked the time. 1:47 a.m. I kept walking. I checked the time again maybe 2 minutes later. 1:47 a.m. I held my phone up and watched the seconds tick. They moved. The numbers changed. But something felt wrong about it. Like the clock was running, just to give me something to look at. There was a directory map on the wall. I stopped in front of it. The layout was completely different. Not a renovated version of the mall I knew. A different building. Store names I didn't recognize. A food court in a location that, upstairs, would have been a parking structure. My eyes went to the "You are here" marker. I hadn't seen another person since I walked in. Not a cleaning crew, not a maintenance worker. Nobody. There was a large plate glass window to my left. One of those display windows where a store would put mannequins. It was empty, but it was polished, clean, perfectly reflective. I could see myself in it. I stopped walking to look at it. My reflection stopped. I was still moving. I had shifted my weight, turned my head slightly, but the reflection stopped. About a second behind me, and then it looked up, not at me, past me, like there was something standing behind me in the hallway. I didn't run. I want to be clear about that. I didn't run. I turned around slowly. There was nothing there. I started walking back the way I came. I kept my pace even, measured. But after about 30 seconds, I realized the exit, the opening where the barrier had been, looked further away than it should have. I kept walking. It got closer, slowly, way too slowly, but it got closer. I stepped back through the opening. The main mall corridor, fluorescent lights, familiar gate logos, the sound of the ventilation system, normal. I did the rest of my rounds. I didn't tell anyone. What would I even say? About 3 weeks later, I was doing the same route. I turned the corner onto the 3rd floor west wing. The barrier was back. I read the sign. Top part was normal. Fine. Under review, whatever. Then, I saw the line at the bottom. Do not interact with your reflection. I stood there for a long time. Then I started walking back, toward the service stairs. There's a polished metal panel next to the stairwell door. Maintenance access, big enough to see yourself in. I walked past it. I was 3 steps past it when I felt it. I don't know how to describe it. A kind of pressure, like something pulling your attention back over your shoulder. I looked. My reflection was still standing at the panel, looking forward, right at where I had been. I don't go near that hallway anymore. But sometimes, I still see it before I move.